Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm J-Rod. This is my channel, All the Above. I'm going to walk us through how to build a mining rig. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to get yourself a CPU. Now, this CPU I got is an older CPU. It's the i7-6700K. It's a little cheaper. It's an older generation is the key here. It's a 6th gen. So the motherboard that I'm about to use is basically a 6th generation, a 7th generation. I picked this motherboard because of the simple fact that it's cheaper. So we're going to apply some thermal paste. And typically I kind of go around. You just want to make sure that the thermal paste is very thorough and that you have contact with the CPU cooler. So for those of you that this is your first mining rig, I just want to kind of go over the fact that you can find mining motherboards that are cheaper, and the key is to find a generation CPU that's an older generation. Right now we're in the 12th generation with Intel. Well, I'm using a 6th gen, and it's a lot cheaper. After applying your thermal paste, you're going to get your CP cooler, and you're going to kind of see where these click in. Now, there's different CP coolers. They're pretty much all standard. They're going to click in, and you're going to kind of apply it. You need to have contact with the cooler and the CPU. This is how it cools down your board. If you don't have contact, you're gonna have an issue. So what I suggest, first time, you could kind of place it down and then pick that back up and see, okay, yeah, it smudged the thermal paste. I know I have contact. There's a plug on your motherboard where the fan will plug into. You kind of just plug that in there. Pretty simple. When it comes to the RAMs, I go a little bit higher. They're not that much more expensive. But in order to run HIVEOS, you need at least 4 gigs of RAM. In order to run Windows, you need at least 8 gigs of RAM. It doesn't leave you a lot of space. Me personally, I use 2 8 gig RAMs, so I got 16 on my board, but that's only because they were lying around and I just rather use them than to have them sitting in a box. But if I ever wanted to, I could basically pull one of these RAMs off of my board and use it in another one because it's 8 RAMs. When you're working on computers, it's always good to have hardware. I found this on Amazon, pretty cheap. It's got a bunch of screws in it that you could use, a little bit of extra hardware. Most of the mining rig shelves that you buy will come with the hardware. Now, I do have a video on how to build this mining shelf. It is a quick tutorial on how to build it. And like I said, that part's pretty easy. Now, on this part right here, I'm using standoff hardware. It's just basically to raise the board up a little bit. So you are going to apply your screws to each standoff that you got. This motherboard, I don't know if I went over the name, but this motherboard was actually only $140. I did a video on it, and I kind of want to let you guys know, like, you can find these cheaper. You can find these 6th generations for $100. It's the B250 BTC12 PCIe lanes. So you can put 12 cards on this, which is great. Now, what I do with the power is I use a regular ATX PSU for powering up my motherboard. Then I use server power supplies to power up my graphics cards. I'll have a link in the description. Parallel Miners is where I buy my server power supplies. I got my fans there. I've got a couple things there. And again, like I said, I'll leave a link down in the description to help you guys out. Now, basically, the only thing I'm powering up with my ATX power supply is going to be my motherboard and my fans. And if you're using an SSD card, SSD hardware, you can use those to power up. But it makes it easier when you're doing wire management to just power it up with the service power supply. So when it comes down to these fans, you are going to have to put these fans on first in order to do it right. They got to go on first. They can't go on after you put the GPUs in. You will not have enough space. These are cheap fans I got off of Amazon. They work great for the price. You can get beefier fans if you want to get a little more wind on it. Alright, now that we got the fans installed, I want to show what it's like to try to get this rig in together with a little bit of wire management, because it starts to get complicated when you start adding multiple GPUs. I'll also want you to understand the build and not get confused, because when I did my first rig, I got totally confused, like what's what. If you never built a mining rig, these are GPU risers that we're looking at. You need them unless you have a riserless board. In this case, we don't. You are going to install a USB on one end of the riser, and you also need to install power into each riser. Now, these risers are from GPU miners. They are pretty decent, and they have the 6-pin PSU on them. So you can power these up the correct way. Each riser is maxed out at 75 watts. That's the max that you can put into the riser. So that's why you want to use basically a 6-pin riser with your server power supply, what we're looking at right now. You can get splitters, and you can split the 6+2 pin to the 6-pin server power supply. Alright, so now that we got the risers all set in and we did somewhat of a wire management prep, we're gonna start putting in some of the GPUs. And I've got kind of a designated spot for these, which typically you can just put them in anywhere you want when you're starting off. So basically, now that this is wire managed and it's all set in, you can just kind of lift this up, and then your GPU will snap right in. Just like so. Should kind of make a clicking noise. And then see how this covers this end. This is what I was saying about getting this ready. Because now you're already ready to go. You're just Gonna kind of like plug and play with it. The part that can get a little confusing that I want to go over is the end of the USB. You're going to plug one end to your riser and the other end is going to go into your motherboard. And you do this all the way down the line before the graphics cards are on there. And this is how you are able to wire manage. Your power cord that's going into your riser, you plug that into your riser and then you take your wire and you move it all the way down to the PSU, to the power supply. So this is the best way to do it, folks. So again, you're going to be kind of thinking about the future with your wires and your wire management. So I already had wire managed this, and I want to kind of come up with some sort of a game plan to where it's not craziness with wires coming out. They just fold this back like this, and then this is already pre-ready. I've already got my 12 pin on there for my GPU. Then just come up and I plug. And you're going to see as you go down the line how much stuff actually gets in the way. And if you don't want to zip tie right away or waste your zip ties, you can take these, I don't know, bread ties. That's what I call them. And you can use these like to kind of just keep it somewhat together. And typically they'll give you these when you get your risers. I mean, it's not going to be a solid fix, but it's temporary. And then once you get it all managed, you can wrap a real zip tie around it instead of wasting your zip ties and putting it in spots and then having to cut them and all that. So I want to kind of bring the camera around this way just to show kind of what we got going on here. And see, as you can see, this was already wired managed, so you're ready to go. This one's ready to follow right into suit, and then you've got your power already wired managed underneath. This is the best way that I've found to keep it organized. And if you do it like this and follow that the whole way down, your mining rig's going to be immaculate by the time you're done with it. So I'll do another one and see if I can do this without getting in the way of the camera. I'm in on this side. So again, so you're going to take your pre-wired riser and you're just going to connect it into the GPU. And this is why I build my mining rigs like this, because you can basically do this all the way down the line. It just makes it a lot easier. Now, if this is your first mining rig, I wouldn't get too crazy and worried about wire management, but these are the tips to help you kind of get it together. Basically, you can actually wait until the end to wire manage the actual GPU power supplies. And then just tuck it in, tuck that in like that. So that looks pretty good like that. That's good. You can fix this. Oop. Pull that a little hard there. And then even like with this, I don't like how it's like So I'll take one of my little bread ties, and I will use it for this, and then kind of wire manage that. So that's perfect. It looks nice and clean. So I'm done all the way down on that. So you can see how I got a hole right there. Again, this is kind of just a little bit of overkill to get it dressed up a little nice, and to keep my wire management looking decent. All right, moving on. And as you can see, I am down to my last card. Now again, you have to space this accordingly. 11. This is only 11 cards, and this rack will fit 12, but they're super tight because 11's already pretty tight. But again, you got to have a game plan of where you want to put them. And in my situation, I wanted my, I kind of spread out my 3080 a little bit more on the back side, and I spread out my other card over here just to get it to fit. But just kind of wanted to show the last card going in. I kind of explained the process, and now you can see a little more too of why I suggest that you definitely need to do the wire management before, because it's just so much harder to get underneath that when you got them cards on there. But now look, it's done. So basically all it is now is just plug and play. I'm gonna plug all these powers in and power cords in and rock and roll, fire her up. Now there is a method of firing this up. You have to flash hives on a flash drive and get your rig config. I'm not going to put that on this video, but I will make a video showing you how to do it. It's super easy. I also have a video already of how to mine on Unmineable with Windows 11 platform. You can use Windows 10 also for that. And eventually I do want to make a video on NiceHash also. So those are the 3 platforms that I have used. But there it is. I'm going to get it a little more dressed up, cleaned up, and show you the end results. Okay, now I'm at the point to where it's just going to be plug and play. So basically, all my wires that I did wire management with for my risers, which are here, and then my wires for my GPUs, which are here. Now, again, you want to clean this up as best as possible. And we can kind of do it together and see what is going to look the best. And I'm thinking to just kind of do this. I've got areas that, like, I want my 3080s, I want those on my on my 1200 watt. So I'm going to plug those in here. There we go. So kind of get that. Kind of aim towards that way so it kind of looks neat. Come over. On the back side here. Like that. And then like with this, so these are risers. So we can kind of do some sort of a loop here with these to get rid of some of the wire. Like so. Good old bread tie. Let's get this over here. And it's somewhat managed up. And then push that to the back. And I'm going to go into my 750 here and on. Alright, we got that, we got that. These are the risers. And again, in the beginning of this, I wire managed this, so this is all going to be plug and play now. Which is great, because it makes it easier. Makes it easier on me. Now I can just kind of plug that in and then kick this to the back, like so. And it looks nice. Typically when I'm doing this, I'm going to keep going with my shortest one. So my longest one is going to go towards the back, so. And then I'm just going to kind of wrap it and push it. Because these are already wire managed all the way down here. And then these ones that are a little longer, and these are still my risers. I'm going to, actually, I'm going to, because risers don't use as much power, I'm going to actually put a set of risers on the 1200 and then put a GPU on that 750. So I'm just kind of sharing this power. Then I want to come with this, come towards the back, this. There. Here. I'll put one there, because these are actually two. Put one right here. I'm hoping that I won't be over on my power on this. Now, if I run 240 to this, I'll have plenty enough, because it'll give me 80% of that. But I'm thinking that this 1200 is really only 900 unless 240s ran through it. So that being said, I just got to share this power a little better. I'll put my 2060 on the 750. That doesn't use a lot. And then I think I can get away with the 3060 Ti on the 750. I may not be able to dual mine. Right off rip with like Tong, because it uses a little more power. I might not be able to support it until like I said, I'm waiting on a PDU to come in and upgrade. Again, too, I can add another PSU on this 700. And it might be beneficial for me. Let me think about this, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. So we've got 3080 and a 3080. So just say 700. Yeah, we'll try it. Let's run it. Let's run it. See if it'll run with and not crash. I think I'm gonna be over on my power though. So I got 3. Just say 250 and 250 is 5, and then 6, 7. These don't use nothing for power. 1660 super, but that being said, I really need another 1200 watt over here. That being said, this is only going to give me 900, so. But again, see if we can get away with it. We're at 12 and 750. We're at 2,000 and another 1,000. We're at 3,000 watts on this whole thing. And 80% rule of that is what? 8 times 3 is 24. Yeah, we probably don't have enough. We about to find out. Yeah, I just said that like that. So we won't zip tie those because we're not really 100% if it's gonna be enough power. And then there is a jumper to be able to turn one of these on and click on. I'm not too concerned about that. Back up a little, see the mess we got. We're going to take care of that right now. So that was one of the zip ties in the beginning that I just finally tightened down. And then on this, I'm just going to kind of do this. Oh yeah, that's going to look good. Honestly, you don't see a lot of videos of somebody actually going through the trouble of doing the wire management, but it'll be good to see it come together. I'll probably speed it up because obviously you guys can't watch 2 hours of me building this thing. And how do I want to do this? You can pull from the top on these, and then you see it on a lot of them. They do kind of a little service loop, like so. Boom. Yeah, that looks nice. Happy about that. You got to make sure that you cut these, or all that wire management is wasted energy. The whole idea is to get it to look good. Alright, you can pull it from the 12 pin, do another small service loop on this one, just like so. Is alright. And I'm not going to wrap these yet because I got to make sure that we got enough power for that. Zip tie. Oh yeah, and sometimes it's beneficial to get this like going the way I got it going, but sometimes it's beneficial to fire it up, because last thing you want to do is zip tie this whole thing down and it not work. But we'll see what that is right there. Pretty happy with that. And then obviously this is the back. So again, you're not even going to see that, and that looks really good. Here, actually, let me pull this off. Viewing this. This is the up view of it. I can get a zip tie on that right there. Service loop this up a little better. I think this is how they like doing it, like that. And then So that's it. Oh, so much a fan of these service loops, but. And there we have it. We have completed a mining rig. Everything looks pretty organized. Now I am going to do a video that I discussed a little earlier about HIVEOS. I've already have a video for Unmineable. You can check that out. This will get this system running once you download an operating system, Windows 10. You can run Unmineable, or you can get a flash drive and run HIVEOS. I'm running HIVEOS on this rig, mining Ethereum. So I'm glad we did good. I just got a couple clips here showing the mining rig running and showing the build. Now, if there's any questions, please leave a comment. I will go back to them and I will help you as much as I possibly can to figure out what's going on if you're having an issue. When you do these videos, you try to do them the best you can to help somebody else. So I strive to the best of my ability to help out who I can help out. Something happens, you know, from beginner experience that isn't in the video. So like I said, leave your comments and your questions. Thanks for watching my video. I'm J-Rod. This is my channel, All the Above. Please subscribe, check out my other videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Peace out. Later, y'all.